Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From BA to Broadway. You know who it is. It's me. It's Brennan, and I'm bringing you your general programming reminders. Folks, every Monday we are here with the main episode, and every Friday we are here with our mini-series In the Spotlight. And just a reminder, folks, that on Sunday, February 9th, we will be live at Broadway Con. That is right, folks. We will be doing a live podcast recording at 10:45 a.m. on that Sunday of Broadway Con with our special guest, Ms. Cara Rose DePietro. So come on, check us out. We would love to meet you all. So come through. You can get tickets at BroadwayCon.com. And we would love to see you there. But you know what? That's enough about that. That's not why we're here today. You don't care about that. Folks, today we are here to speak with the one and only Allie Bonino. Allie, what is going on?
Hi. Oh my goodness. It's good to be inside. It's so cold.
It's terrible out there. And we had a couple of nice days that really put me in comfort.
It lied to us. Yep. It really,
it did.
Made me put my thermals away.
I'm over winter. I know it's like we really didn't have winter for a long time and then just kind of started, but I'm over it.
See, here's the thing. I'm a December baby.
Oh,
so
okay.
I like the cold, but to a point.
Okay.
Like when I'm walking and my whole face hurts. That's when I don't love it.
And it's just rough. It's rough in the city because the whole
wind tunnels.
It is the whole city is a wind tunnel.
Wind tunnel after wind tunnel, and the salt. My lips right now taste salty from the amount of salt on the ground that just gets whipped up into the air. So I have that going on, which is fun.
We love that for us.
Can't wait to brush my teeth.
Oh, the city of dreams. We love it.
I heard a clip once. I was like, it'll be a great city if they ever stop building it. Like once it's finished.
Literally.
Would love it.
We have had construction going on for like a year and a half next door. They're building a hotel because we need that in a neighborhood. I don't know.
Sure.
And it wakes me up actually, I shouldn't say that. It used to wake me up every morning. Now I can't even tell it's happening because it's just a part of my life. And I'm ready for it to stop.
Yeah. I want that to stop for you.
It was supposed to be done in the spring of 2023.
No, definitely not.
They started it in
They
started it in June of 2023.
Good.
Yes. So who's to say?
You know? I think it'll be great. Think of all the wonderful tourists that will bring
flood my neighborhood.
Yay!
Whatever.
Dreams.
Allie, who the heck are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm Allie.
So true.
Hi. And I'm a performer. I just finished up a little stint in this little tiny skit on Broadway called Suffs.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am just floating through time and space, gainfully unemployed and hungry for whatever is next.
Oh, we're starving.
We're so hungry.
Oh my God. That's one thing is as soon as you finish one thing, you're ready for the next.
Yeah.
I enjoy like a week. I enjoy a week of
It's so
comfort.
funny because like I do not sit still well at all. And my husband was like really nervous when Suffs ended. He was like, please just give yourself like a little bit of time, like the tiny bit of time just to like breathe and let your like physical body recover from the last 10 months. And I was like, I don't know. I'll take some time. I took maybe a day.
Nice.
I think maybe a day. And by the end of that first day, I was already like doing projects and like making spreadsheets of other projects to do. And I don't sit still well, but that's not my stasis. So like to rest for me is not my normal. So I would rather keep moving.
Yeah.
No moss grows on this body.
Are you from New York? Are you from the area?
I've lived here long enough. I feel like, yes. I moved here for college in 2007. But before that, I'm from a tiny town called Unionville, Connecticut. She's very cute.
But you're a Northeaster through
Northeaster
New
through and
Englander.
through, yeah.
Okay, I'm from Massachusetts. Yes.
Yeah, we're in Mass.
Like South Central, really just on the border of Rhode Island.
Perfect.
Small town, no one's ever heard of it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's we're also should be used to this weather too.
I know.
And I'm just like,
it's also funny to me when people are like, "Oh, we have a nor'easter coming," and it's like 3 inches of snow, and I'm like, "You guys are weak.
Literally,
you guys are weak."
I'm like, this is just
a flurry.
Truly.
Flurry.
But like, I guess I used to drive everywhere, which was kind of the trade-off. But now I am my own vehicle. I am my own vehicle, and my face is the windshield.
My face is the windshield. I am my own vehicle. That's beautiful. I like that.
You know,
it's like a book of poetry. I am my own vehicle.
Thank you. That part of it.
I like it.
Oh, thank you.
I think it'd be great.
Allie, question 2 is usually, how do we know each other?
Through Holly Gould.
Friend of the pod, Holly Gould.
Oh my God, what an absolute beacon of a human being. Like when I think of light and radiance and crackling wit and humor, just like they are an extraordinary human being. And
so true.
I'm a better person for knowing them.
Yeah. That's one of those people, too, where I'm like, if you want to introduce me to people, I have faith that it will be just a cool human.
And in reverse, the exact same way. They were like, my friend does this podcast. And I was like, I'm on board. You had me at my friend. You had me at my friend. Because they're just like truly the salt of the earth, which is now on my lips from outside.
So true. Oh my God.
It's Holly. It's just Holly on my lips.
Wow. Holly is here in our hearts, on
Everywhere.
our face. Who's to say? Allie, did you go to school for theater?
I sure did.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Where'd you go?
I went to Pace University.
Oh, okay. Great.
Here in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a BFA program?
It is. Yeah. At the time, it was the only BFA program in the city because I believe NYU had a BFA program. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little bit older than you, I think. So I think it maybe is like different now there. But like when I was going to school, everyone was like, if you're going to school for theater, you have to get a BFA, which like, I don't know that I necessarily agree with. But
for
like
sure.
At the time in the mid-aughts, everyone was like, it has to be a BFA program. Mm-hmm. And I knew I wanted to be in the city. And NYU Tisch, I think, was one at one point, but then lost it.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm not going to go to NYU.
Literally,
they don't have a BFA.
The reject, the BFA reject.
Then we went to Pace instead.
Love it.
Yeah.
Has theater always been in your life? Where did you artistic upbringing?
Yeah, my dad is very musically inclined. Mm-hmm. My mom loves music, and my grandparents, like I always had music around me. Yeah. And when I was in elementary school, I had my chorus teacher like found me singing in one of the chorus rooms, and she like talked to my parents and was like, you should really you should like develop this skill for her. So that was when I was like 7 or 8. And I love it though, because like my parents were never stage parents. It was always like, do you want to do this? And I was like, yeah. And I think if there had ever been a point where I was like, I think I'm done. Like there was never like a shaky finger gun of like, you must go to the voice lesson, you must go to the theater program. But from like a really young age, it just became a very safe and welcoming space where like my school time was not that. Mm-hmm. I had a really rough time in elementary and middle school. So like to have theater outside of that, it just like to this day, like I always say theater is like my happy safe space.
Of course.
Which is nuts because it's a very volatile insecure.
Where we do it, it's
like
terrible place.
Calling like New York theater scene safe, like people be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But like the actual act of being in community and creating art or theater or music for me has always been such a safe space. So
for sure.
Yeah.
I love that. And you just made your Broadway debut.
Sure did.
Hell yeah. That must have been pretty cool.
It was, wow. It was nuts. It was nuts. The whole experience was nuts. Mm-hmm. I would say for the last like 15 years of my like life here and like my career, it's been in developing new work. Mm-hmm. And like you're always like in the back of your mind, you're like, wow, what if this is the one? Like what if this is the thing? And there have been so many pieces throughout the years that I really thought like, oh my God, this is going to be the debut. This is going to be it. Yep. And then for whatever reason, like funding or lack of producers or whatever, like they fell through, but Suffs stuck around. And, you know, having the public as one of their primary producers and really like the incubator for it was such a help. But I couldn't believe it. I still am waiting to get fired. Even after it's closed, like I still
great
trauma with the capital T. It's fine, but like I was always like so nervous that like it wasn't going to happen because I've been doing this for such a long time, and like so many of my friends have already lived that dream and had that, and there was that thing of like, well, is it ever going to happen? Like, is it ever going to be? Am I ever going to get to that moment? And it had to be with Suffs. It had to be with that group of people. It had to be at this time. And like, as much as there is a part of me that maybe is like, God, wouldn't it have been greater if like 10 years ago you'd done this? Like, it all happened so perfectly and just as it was supposed to happen.
For sure, for sure. So were you on the grind the whole time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, heard.
Oh, yeah.
Heard.
Since I moved here in 2007, it has just been
wild.
Grind.
Incredible.
Yes.
Was Broadway always the dream?
I mean, yes and no. Okay. Like, the dream is just like working on stuff that matters to me with people that I love.
For sure.
That, like, I could be doing that in like Milwaukee and be very happy. Mm-hmm. Milwaukee, if you're hiring or casting for anything, I am available.
Of course. Milwaukee, just the city.
Just Milwaukee,
in general.
Just Milwaukee. Yeah. I'm speaking directly to you now.
An ad for Milwaukee.
An ad for Milwaukee. You know who's never been to Milwaukee? Me.
And you know what? I want to say it is in one of the states that begins with an I, maybe?
Isn't it Illinois?
It's great.
I think it's Milwaukee,
I
Illinois.
personally don't. This is a guess.
I have to know now.
This is humiliating.
Hang on. Wisconsin. Fuck.
Oh, no.
No, I know that because it's near Chicago.
Okay.
Which is in Illinois.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to take that out because it's embarrassing for both of us.
We
Come
can't.
on.
We simply can't. That's content.
Well, now Milwaukee's never going to hire me now.
Well, now they will because you're learning.
They are close, though. If I'm not Illinois and Wisconsin touch.
That I do believe.
Anyway, Broadway was always the dream.
Yes, of course. It
was always the dream. For those listening who maybe don't know what I look like, I'm a bigger girl height-wise and I'm a plus-size performer. And like I did not ever really see myself represented in stuff on Broadway.
Yeah.
So like where I wanted it so badly, I didn't see a path forward for myself. And the paths that I did see were not necessarily roles that I loved or like loved the message behind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why can't we just have a bigger body on stage living a life without being like the punch of a joke or going through something traumatic or difficult? Like, I have a pretty okay life. Like I found the love of my life. I have a wonderful friend group. And like, because I'm plus size, I don't have this like darkness inside of me. But for some reason, that is like the thing or it's this trope of being, the comic relief, which like, I'll always be funny because that's just a part of who I am. But like,
I'm just hysterical.
I'm just so funny, Milwaukee. Why don't you see that? Why do you deny me that? But like, I didn't see myself in Broadway the way that I think a lot of people who do this do see themselves. So I was always a little bit like, yeah, wouldn't it be great? But like, who the fuck is going to let you do that? Yeah. Who's going to let you do that? Yeah. And I remember in college, this is fun. I had a teacher try to get me to get gastric bypass.
Oh my God.
When I was 17. And it was like a whole thing. And obviously it did not happen because my parents like slapped me silly and were like, no, you're not doing that. But like that was when I was 17. That was the message that was told to me. Like, if you want to be in this industry, you need to change your body. You need to change how you look to fit into this smaller role, literally a smaller size. And there have been other productions throughout the years that have like, tried to make comments like, oh, well, if she lost a couple pounds or if she did this or did that. Yeah. And like, it just, that's hard when you have this dream, but there are so many gatekeepers being like, you could do it if you do this.
Of course.
Which sucks. That sucks to hear. So then, to have a show like Suffs where it never came up once. Never, not once.
Yeah.
And like I was talking with Rachel Sussman, who's one of my dearest friends and one of our lead producers on the project. But I was talking about like how I was like, I knew that Broadway was coming, like that we had been told. And I was like, I think I just need to lose like 50 pounds and then like I'll be able to do it. And we met for drinks and she was like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Nobody in this project wants or needs you to do that. Like, are you doing it for you? Is it for a health thing? And I was like, of course not. Of course not. No, I'm trying to fit into what I think this is. Yeah. And she was like, but you are what this is. And that really helped.
No, for sure. I mean,
helped.
we talked a couple weeks ago. My dear friend Katie Garrity came on, and she's just always a proponent of like the Broadway body is not real.
It's a myth.
And if you have a body and are on Broadway,
that is a Broadway. It's like the same thing with like a beach body. If you're a body that's on the beach or like a bikini body, if you're a body wearing a bikini, you have a bikini body. I think it's just another in a long line of ways to keep people scared and insecure and like literally hungry.
Of course. No, totally.
It's so unfortunate to me. And it's like this very interesting thing happening in the industry now. There's like this old guard, which is very set in their ways and very like, well, it's always been this way. So we're going to keep it this way.
Of course.
But then you have this new guard coming up. Yeah. And also people in the new guard who are people from the old guard who are willing to change and adapt, like to really meet the moment, which is really refreshing. But like, it still exists. You still have so many people who are just set in these old antiquated ways. It's nuts.
I am starting to see more and more people my age with producer credits on Broadway,
and
which
so
is
exciting.
So cool and awesome. But then we have this face off of the old guard and the new guard, and quite frankly, it's like the new guard's like, listen, we're going to do it when you're gone anyways. Yeah. So why don't we do it now rather than wait till you literally die?
Yeah.
And
like that whole rhetoric of like, well, it was hard for me, so it should be hard for you.
Stupid.
My response is always like, I am so sorry
Yeah.
that it was hard for you. It probably should not have been
100%.
that hard for you. And like, why would you want to perpetuate that hardness onto
Totally.
someone else?
Literally.
Like, generational trauma.
Yeah.
It can stop.
That's why like,
we can stop.
That's my whole mantra with student loans too. I'm like, listen, y'all, I also don't think you should have had to pay that much money. I'm not disagreeing with you there.
No.
However, if there was a chance to alleviate
Change
that for
that.
some people, then let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love it.
We love it. Why not change? Why not give someone else a hand up or like open a door for someone?
Yeah.
I am such a proponent of like, I am readying my shoulders for whoever else needs to stand on them.
Totally.
Like that is my favorite thing to do. If I can kick down a door so that someone behind me can walk through it,
Yep.
why the fuck not?
Absolutely.
I struggle with people who are so stringent and just
Totally.
like
And like
intransigent.
If you are the one that is always helping people, they are going to want to help you back in some way, shape, or form. And especially in this industry when networking and community is just like everything, you got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it because we will remember the names of those who don't, and it's not going to be the right reasons. You know?
Yeah, it's I'm excited for the change that's coming.
And I'm seeing it happen or start to happen.
Yeah.
The wheels are moving, and I'm very excited for that.
Me too.
As we kind of move into this new era of Broadway.
Yeah.
You know, I do also feel like with this newer season, like we're not so much in movie musical land anymore too, which is nice. I feel like there's so many new names popping up, which is just really great. And I feel like we're on a nice new path. And I think it's going to be very necessary right now.
Too.
You know?
And I think that the other thing too is like, how do I want to say this in a way that won't keep me from ever working on jobs like this in the future?
Yeah,
I don't hate the idea of an adaptation. You know what I
totally.
mean? But like when you looked at 45th Street this past year and there were 4 at one point adaptations and like Us and like Stereophonic, which, you know, it's like, oh, we are catering to a very specific belief that people only want to see that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think they do want to see that, but I don't think that's the only thing they want to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think people have an open mind and want to see new stuff and want to see new works and emerging talents.
Yeah.
But like there's such a fear that like, oh God, if we don't have a star, if we don't have this, if we don't have that, it's like, I think we need to give audiences coming in a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt, I think, and just trust that they are down to clown.
And why do we want to keep telling stories that people already know?
Yeah.
You know, like what the heck? And I feel like those are the ones with a very specific kind of audience that comes in and kind of gentrifies Broadway in a way.
Yeah. Keeps the ticket price really, really high.
Makes it harder for us to walk to work.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Literally.
Truly, someone was like a couple months ago, they're like, what's the worst part of your job? And I was like, honestly, walking through Times Square twice a day to get to the theater and then to leave. It's so, and I don't love crowds. So I picked a really good city to live in.
Literally.
But like, it was literally like, I felt like I would get up off the subway and just be like, okay, you just got to do it. You just got to walk.
It's that 45th
three
Street.
blocks. Because it's like, no matter where you are, if I was 1 block up, it would have been easier to get to 50th. If I was 1 block south, it would have been easier to get to 42nd. But right smack in the middle, just...
Yep.
Brutal.
I work at the Minskoff sometimes, and so when I'm coming from 8th Ave, I have to pass every single one of those shows to get to work, and it is
a joy.
It's made me a New Yorker.
It
has made me a real New Yorker.
Although somebody taught me the trick.
Oh,
coming from 47th, I think.
Interesting.
You cut through the Edison Hotel, and then you cut through the Marriott,
Gotcha.
and then you cut through the Minskoff thing.
Okay.
And you can kind of bypass.
Gotcha. I do try and use the Marriott. I didn't know about the Edison one.
It's literally a hallway.
Amazing.
Sliding doors next to Bond 45, famously on 46th Street. Make it make sense.
Of course.
And then you just go right through and you're on.
Do we leave this in or do we gatekeep?
I don't know. I'm no, you know what? Let the people know.
The tourists aren't going to do it.
Tourists aren't going to do it.
This is for the theater people only. This is for the thespians.
This is for you. This is our offering.
Yes.
This is our gift.
Our wisdom.
Don't abuse it.
Literally.
Don't, please.
I better not see this on freaking TikTok.
We're just trying to get home.
Yes. Dear God.
Just trying to get to work and get home.
Allie, you worked on this really cool piece of theater that is really potent right now. Today of all days, you know, I'm
sure I don't know what you mean.
For sure. Folks, we are recording this on Monday, January 20th, a day where I woke up and I forgot it was happening. I famously knew it was happening on the 20th, but in my brain, it was always 3 weeks away for the past month. And so I woke up to put on the Today Show like I always do.
Oh.
And I was met with some live news that was very unfortunate to start the day.
Yeah.
And that is something that we will be living with for
A while.
a while at this point in time, hopefully only 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of makes what we do and that kind of theater even more important.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't know if like the next 4 years is going to be a huge movement of political theater or just escapism theater or what, or both, probably. But like, I think it's gotta be at least one of them, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you look back in history, like during the Weimar Republic, there was a lot of really great art that was born during that time. I think it's just something that artists inherently do. Yeah. Like when they're, I mean, we like to sing and dance when things are fine and good, but like, you know, art is born from some sort of, I don't want to say angst, because not all art is born from that, but it's because you have something to say. Yeah. It's born from a point of view. It's born from a necessity. And I think there's going to be a lot of necessity and there's going to be a lot of point of view in the next however many years we are in this situation.
Did you lived here the last reign of terror that we had?
Sure did.
But there was a huge boom of theater within that time too.
Yeah.
You know, like what did the industry kind of look like in terms of actively trying to make those choices?
I think there were a lot of like organizations that like erupted because of that, which were in place for this time around, which is great. But like this one feels different. Yeah. This one I feel like in 2016, we were all so surprised. Yeah. We were so surprised. And there was an element where I think a lot of us were like, well, you know what? Definitely not. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt because like he's a monster. Yeah. But I think we were like, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Like maybe it can't be as bad as we think it's going to be. And then, oops, it was. And now with this time, it's this feeling of like, holy fuck. So like, you knew what he is like. You know what this administration is going to do.
Truly.
And you chose that.
Yeah.
That for me is so much more heartbreaking.
Of course.
Than what happened in 2016. Because I think in 2016, a lot of us like, it's a fluke. This was a mistake.
Yes.
Everyone's going to see how batshit this is and we will move on and learn from this. Not the case.
No.
Not the case. So there's this like this level of heartbreak and just utter sadness and disappointment that I know the theater community is feeling a lot too, because we were all like canvassing and we were hosting, you know, telethons and phone banking and text banking, and like we were so invested in this, and also doing a show that is so in the political zeitgeist was really hard. And I know that we are all tired. We are very tired.
That's the thing, is it just feels exhausting. It was one of those things where I don't know if it's just because of the circles that we operate in, but like the stakes felt high. And I'm like, everyone else knew that, right? Yeah. Everyone else knew that. But unfortunately, I think they did. Yeah. And it just wasn't
enough. For the price of eggs was more important to them than, I don't know. It's I cannot wrap my head around it. It makes too little sense for me. But like, for sure. It was weird too, because, and I was actually talking about this with Holly a couple weeks ago, like we never just got to sort of like enjoy the run of the show. There was always something that we were leading up to or working on. Like we had previews and then we had opening, which went right into the cast recording. Tony noms came out while we were recording it, and then it was like the insane press run toward the Tonys, and then the Tonys happened, and then it was like, okay, but now we have to gear up to like do election stuff and like, you know, make ourselves available for that. And then we got our closing notice, and then we found out about PBS, and then the election happened, and it was, we never just had like a chill amount of time to like be in the run of the show. So there was all this adrenaline that never got to settle. And like, I still don't know that I have fully processed what happened in November. And it's like funny that we're talking about this on today.
Literally.
But like, I really don't think I have yet, because we still had a job to do. Like November 5th happened, and then we had 2 shows on the 6th. And like, it became very clear that like this was now a place for people to come and like process their feelings. Which for me, when I am put in that situation where someone is processing, I'm like, okay, so I will process mine later. I'm going to let you process first.
Totally.
And it was just months, literal like months of that, and of meeting people after at the stage door and talking with people who are just heartbroken and crying and are like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, I have a BFA in musical theater. I can't tell you what to do, but like, you know, we're in this together and we're going to get through it. It's going to be hard. But it was just like, it was a lot. And it definitely was not something that I had prepared for. I don't think any of us could have. And the brilliance and the sad thing about Suffs is that I think it would have served as a beautiful celebratory piece as well.
Yeah.
But it just turned out to be like a place to come and sort of commiserate and process, which is equally important.
100%. But then it kind of adds like 4 more jobs on your plate, like 4 more job titles that you weren't anticipating, you know, which like, bless you for doing it. But like,
it just sort of like happened. It just, it just sort of organically happened. But there was one day where like I came home and I'm like not a big crier. I like really keep it inside, which is, I'm working on being better about that.
Heard.
But like I came home, and this was like maybe in the last week of November, and I was like washing my hands at the sink and I just started crying. And Colby, my husband, came up and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I just had this conversation with someone at the stage door. Like, I don't know how to carry all of this for everyone, but I think we got through it." And also the amazing thing too is that our fans were also carrying us too. Like, it was very symbiotic in that, like, we know that you are performing inside of all of this. And they did a really beautiful job of like checking on us and checking in on us and making sure we were okay. But like, there were moments in that last like month and a half of the run where I was just like, how the fuck do we do this?
It's
like,
burnout of theater on top of burnout of existence at this point, which is crazy. And it feels like the theater community was such a champion this time around of like making things right, that when things didn't go our way, it felt like a big deflation, you know?
Well, it was nuts too, because we had a show on election night, which was crazy. And I was doing a really good job of like avoiding screens or any sort of updates. And like, you know, the show started and the applause was nuts and everyone was going crazy. And then like the curtain came down for Act 1 and like I didn't check anything during intermission, but like the curtain rose and there was just there had been a shift because everybody out there was checking their phones. Like the second it came down, I'm sure everybody was like, and they started seeing the returns come in. And it was like this, like a dial had been turned a hair to the right. Literally to the right.
That's wild.
And like, I remember it lifting and I just went like, oh, fuck. Okay. And then at the stage door, everyone was like, how are you? And I'm like, I haven't been checking returns, so I am okay.
Totally.
How are you?
Yeah.
It was a crazy night, but like, that deflation happened on election night. Yeah. And it was very palpable.
I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like it hasn't come back yet. Like we haven't reinflated that at all. And like,
no. And I think that's okay.
I agree.
I think that is okay, especially for those of us who were pushing and working so hard.
Totally.
Like, it's that thing of like, okay, if this is what you want, fuck it. It's a little bit nihilistic now. It's like, you know what? Okay.
Truly.
You want to light it down and burn it to the ground? Like,
it's like, now is my time to rest.
Yeah.
I'll take a break. I'll sit back.
I did everything I could in my power. It's out of my hands now.
Yeah.
Great. And which is not to say that when the time comes, I know that I will do whatever I need to do.
Yes, for sure.
But for right now, in January, on this Monday, I'm like, you know what?
It feels like the calm before the storm right now. I'm like, it feels like we're all going to sit back. We're going to let the writers write. We're going to let the composers compose. And then we're going to come back with a fucking vengeance and take the world by storm.
We're going to,
We're going to sing and dance our way.
We're going to sing and dance our way back into a democracy, God damn it. Yes. Do a little jazz hand, little time step.
Truly. I mean, this business already requires such tenacity to begin with that like, it's tough to add all of these extra elements of just being alive on top of it. Yeah. And having responsibility to the world around us that, I mean, theater people kind of are the ones who are most built for it. Unfortunately, like we are the ones who are the loudest. Yeah. Inherently. Yeah. And have the ability to just keep on going, probably at the expense of our own well-being. Yeah. Which is another
that part.
another story, whether that's good or not. But like it does feel like the ball is in our court. Yeah. But for now, we are just going to sit there with the ball and eventually pick it up and use it. Yeah. But like, I don't know. We're out there on the grind every day. It's terrible. It's miserable. You know, we're always one bad audition away from
a total breakdown.
Telling ourselves we're going to stop and throw it away. An office job, you know, whatever. Yeah. But like now we gotta, I don't even know.
I think, you know, we will. I think the art that we will make in this time is going to be incredible. It's going to be difficult and brutal and beautiful. But I don't know. I would never bet against an actor or a musician or an artist in general backed into a corner. I would never bet against that person.
Totally.
Because we'll find a way out of that corner, and it's not gonna be the way you expected us to get out of it.
No, probably not the way we expected.
You know what I mean? But like we're because I think there's this sort of feeling or belief about actors that we're all very like delicate and very easily wounded. Like in a crisis, I would love to be surrounded by nobody but artists.
Totally,
like truly,
totally.
Because we not only like think creatively and can see ways through things that other people can't. Yeah. But like there's a level of empathy and understanding that inherently lives inside of artists that like I want to be around that. Totally. In a crisis.
And like the innate emergency response within artists specifically is kind of weird. And now that we're talking about this, I'm just kind of identifying it in my life. Like in like everyday scenarios, I am very rarely the most calm one in a space. But when I find myself in that, it's usually in a muggle job of some sort. When I find that for some reason I am the calmest one in the space and there's tragedy going on, I like go into like superhero mode.
And it's true.
Being able to fix things in a way that I never have before. And I've never really identified why, but it's probably that that artist brain within me.
It's funny. I was watching this. There's a great new miniseries on Peacock about SNL for the 50th anniversary. It's great. It's just like they're interviewing a bunch of cast members. And Amy Poehler was like, it's like when she said something to the effect of like, it's like when you're at a hospital and there's something really bad going on. People are not running around screaming. They get very quiet and very focused. And I'm like, that is the same thing with actors. Like sounds so stupid to compare like acting to like, life-saving emergency services. But like, it's true. Like when shit's going down, there's like a focus and like your training kicks in, which is stupid, but like it does.
It's also kind of the mentality that we are a small part of a bigger picture too. Like we are part of an ensemble. We are part of a group.
Yes.
And
working toward a similar goal.
Our voice and our ability may not be what's needed in that moment. So we can take a step back. But
it's like we're good at like listening to people.
Crazy. Insane concept, but I think that's exactly why we kind of thrive in that, because as we've learned from the rest of the world, ain't really thinking like that.
I think what we're learning is that this incoming administration just needs to take like acting 101, play some zip zap zop.
I was about to say a quick game of zip zap zop.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, a little improv.
Read a little Stanislavski, get some Udahagen going.
Love it. Yes, great. Yes, and everybody. How about we and for a while?
Yes, it's been too much no but.
Yeah, that's our message to Congress is yes. Let's try a day of yes and.
We welcome a platform of yes and.
Just a quick little exercise. We're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna really explore the space.
Oh
yeah,
God,
we love it. But
it's gonna be. Okay.
Yeah, it is going to be okay. It is going to be okay. And we're going to do what we have always done and continue to do.
Yep.
And we're going to go to those auditions and we're going to try and book and change the world, but also pay our rent. Yeah. You've had a long journey of theatrical stuff in this. Did you do the regional market?
Not too much.
Okay.
Not too much. And that was kind of a personal choice. I always say I'm built like a sequoia. Being a bigger body in this industry, I was always very aware that like my in was probably going to be like by staying local and doing stuff in the city. And also for a while I had reps that didn't really send me out for a lot of things. So I was going to these open calls for a lot of regional productions and like they didn't even look up, or they did and they were like, yikes. So like, you know, I didn't really have that regional experience. Now I would love to go and like be somewhere else in the country for a little while. I think that'd be really fun. But yeah, I was always like very much like I want to stay here.
Is there a way that you kind of navigated finding your way into that New York network, that New York community?
It happened by accident. It happened by total accident. In my sophomore year of college, maybe I was 19, so maybe sophomore. Yeah. I got to class early one day and my teacher was like, you learn music really quickly, right? And I was like, yeah. She goes, I have a friend who's doing a concert tonight, playing at a concert, and one of the singers called out,
oh, wow.
Do you want to learn this song? And I was like, sure, why not? So I got to skip class, which was great for me. And I was in her office just like learning this song for 2 hours. And then I had to go to sound check at the Laurie Beachman.
Wow.
With like, Nick Blaemeyer was in it, that thing, and like Lauren Marcus was in that. I think Lauren Marcus was in that. Like there were like names like of people happening at that moment that I was like, oh my God, like what the fuck?
What was
my dear friends, Julia Meinwald and Gordon Leary were just debuting a few of their songs from pieces that they'd been working on. Like a little like writers showcase at the Laurie Beachman. And my song was second to last.
Whoa.
And like this was before I had an iPhone, so I had like my actual like little recording device that like in between songs when people were applauding, I would like hold the recorder up to my ear just to make sure that I knew what this song was. Cause like, I was in it like the 40th minute of this set. And like I learned this song 3 hours ago. It was insane. But like we did it, and there's a video of it somewhere on YouTube, I think. And like I don't know how, but it went very well.
Wow.
And like Julia and Gordon came up to me and they were like, we really like you. And I was like, great, I like your music. And then from there, like that was my
amazing
into this like new musical world and the world of development. But it happened totally by accident. And then, we would do a lot of like concerts with other composers who would hear me, and it's just this like revolving door.
Yeah.
And it's so strange because like I feel like it doesn't happen as much now, but there was something about that time, like 2006 to like 2011 was like such a hotbed of like,
for sure,
these up and coming composers like really working on their material and their stuff. And it was just, I felt so lucky to kind of fall into it.
It feels like there had been like this mindset that you really needed to work hard and get into every room because that was eventually going to be your way in. But now it feels like you may be doing that, yes, but not to necessarily book a show, but just to meet someone, to have that kind of accidental happenstance,
Yeah.
It feels like everyone is going out kind of unsure every day, trying to just stumble upon something random.
It's weird too now, especially with like TikTok, which I think is still a thing. I don't know.
She's back, sure. I guess. I don't know.
But like with like TikTok and like YouTube and Instagram, and people are just, it's easier to put yourself out there now, and people can find you better that way, which like for me, I know that's not like, was never going to be the medium for me. I'm so glad that I sort of came up before all of that happened, but it's just, it shifts every couple of years. Like it just totally changes like how you meet people. And I really hope that like the pay to plays kind of go away. Those make me so uncomfortable.
For sure. That's just tough.
That's man, I think I went to, in my like 10 year as like a person in this city, I think I went to maybe 3 over the course of many, many years. And every single time I was like, this feels awful.
Yeah.
It just feels gross.
I've done 1 or 2 pay to plays in my time, and like it has worked out for me, which is good. But at the same time, I look around at everyone else who is paying the same amount as me to play and going to get absolutely nothing from it. And I'm like, this is rough.
It's brutal. And it's just so playing on the insecurities of actors, and it's totally taking advantage of people. And like I love that you had success for it. And like I did meet like a couple MDs who I still like work with from time to time, but like it's like you said, the overall like success rate of them, it's like they're not there looking for people. They're there to get a...
It's subjective. It is also subjective. And like I lucked out that I am the kind of personality that they vibe with. They liked me as a person, and I have been granted opportunity because of that, which I'm so grateful for. And you know what? Like they are people that I really do enjoy and vibe with, but like that is just statistically not going to be the case for everyone, which is tough.
But like it brings up a bigger issue, which I think is this idea of like accessibility into this industry.
Totally.
Which is hard, right?
Yeah.
Because like if I hadn't been early that day, like I can literally trace me being in Suffs back to that concert.
Yeah.
I can like trace it back to that moment happening. If I hadn't been early that day, or if somebody had gotten there before me, or if like I was like, I'm sorry, I have to go to Dave & Buster's tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like any number of things. And like
I have to go to Dave & Buster's.
I have to go. I've been putting this off for weeks.
I've been saving up these tickets for years.
tonight is the night. It's Dave and Buster's time. But you know what I mean? Like any number of things could have happened. And like, I know at times, even having done that and having this door open for me, I have felt so lost in the reads and like not knowing what the right move is or who the quote unquote right people are that I should be meeting. And like, it sucks because like when you see like, oh my God, this casting director who I know casts A, B, and C is doing a pay to play. Like, of course, like why not? Like we need to change the way that people get opportunities.
Totally.
So that it is more equitable. Because also like they're not cheap.
No.
Like those things are not cheap. And not everybody can afford to literally pay to play for something that has 0% guarantee on return.
Yep.
It's like it's a really fucked up system.
It is.
And it's hard because it's not governed by anything. It does not fall within any sort of like union, whatever, because it doesn't matter if you're in the union or not. And our union doesn't even protect us all that much.
The joining rules are all over the place now too. Yeah. So everyone and their mother are just joining the union now. So like, what does any of this even mean? Which
also that felt like a total cash grab. Like during the pandemic, we're going to do open enrollment when nothing is casting. Like,
and now everything is so oversaturated.
And so many productions are now going non-union. Like, which is great. Like, I want them to have the experience and the opportunities too. But like the way in which doors are opened and or not is a real thing that like we should be having more discussions about.
Totally.
I think.
Totally. And it's just like one of these things where it's like, it feels so hard to fix. It feels so hard to fix, you know? Like, it's like something where we live in a day and age where like technology is advancing around us so quickly that we could probably utilize in some way, shape, or form. And we are just so entrenched in the mud that we've put here years and years and years that we can't get out of it at a pace that we need to do it at. And I'm like, who fixes that?
But I think like there are people who like I mean, we just keep talking about Holly because they're amazing, but like Holly has incredible ideas about like there are people in this industry who I think have these ideas. We just need to give them the platform to do it and then also like show up and back them when it matters.
100%.
Like I always think of like whenever Equity makes some sort of announcement, they're like, God, who are the people making these decisions? And it's like, did you vote in the last Equity election? Like, are you up to date with like who is in charge of these panels and who is in charge of like these different levels of power? Like, that's where I get angry too, is when people get so upset about how things are run. And I'm like, well, what have you done to be an active participant in that? I mean, it's a staggering number who did not vote in this last election. It was a staggering number of people. So like I think there are people out there who want to do it, but we need to show up for them.
Totally.
To get them into those positions of power so that change can happen.
It just feels like it is one of those things where it is just going to be the positions of power shifting. You know, it just feels like it feels like a waiting game almost, which is tough. It's very tough because in the meantime, all our non-union girlies are still showing up at 6 a.m. or 4 a.m. And
that's the thing that blows my mind because I joined the union very late. I didn't join until I was 27. Yeah. And I thought it was a joke. I did a 2-day concert in Vermont that was a Lort D contract. So like I didn't even clock that is what made me eligible. And my welcome papers came on April 1st. I was like, who is playing an April Fool's Day joke on me? I called the union. They were like, no, it's real. This is real. But like when I was at those open calls, when I was getting in line at 4:00 in the morning, I was like, this is not humane. No. This is not, it's freezing outside. There's one bathroom at a McDonald's 6 blocks away that like you're going to and like running and having someone save your spot. It's nuts. And then I'm like, there should be like a thing for non-union actors to like organize. And I'm like, but then that's a union. Like, it's so, do you remember a couple years ago when people snuck in, or they didn't sneak in, they hid out in Ripley?
No.
You didn't hear about this?
That's wild.
I don't remember if it was after the pandemic or before. It might have been after. I don't know. But there was like an open call for Hairspray happening the next day.
Oh, was it that monstrous one?
Yes.
Okay.
And there were like a handful of people who hid out in Ripley after it was like shut down for the night. They were like inside the building so that they could be first on the unofficial list.
That's batshit
nuts.
Crazy.
We shouldn't
Honestly,
be doing.
I kind of love that.
Hats off to them.
Yeah.
I would definitely watch like a documentary about that night. You know what I mean?
Like that must have been kind of
Ripley
fun.
After Dark.
Yeah.
Like I would love to talk to them
100%.
about that. If you're listening,
oh my God, yes,
please reach out and let us know what that was like. And also, you shouldn't have had to do that.
Also, yeah.
That shouldn't be the norm.
No.
Like, it's just...
Like, you're telling me there's not some way we could organize some form of digital sign up for that?
I have thought about this.
Once again, I'm a caveman. I have no clue how we
I
would
have
do
like
that.
literally talked to people about it, but the issue that we keep running into is like it's non-union.
Exactly.
There's no way to like
Mhm.
organize it officially, because then like you would need to you would have to have people be in charge of it, and then that like makes a whole thing. But I don't know. It's just the system is broken.
It's very broken.
The system is broken. And living in such a digital age where it's like, it doesn't need to be that crazy. I feel like we are all now like feeling the itchiness of how broken it is. And again, people will fix it. I know that there are changes coming.
Yeah.
Again, I'm emboldened by people like Holly who are just so smart and like want this industry to be better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, oh man.
For now, we just sit here and we wait.
We sit and wait for a little bit.
We wait, we hope.
We wait, we hope.
Come up with ideas for other people to do.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. There's only so much we can do with our degrees legally.
With that BFA, which was so important.
Exactly. Yes. Aren't you so happy you have that?
So happy.
Do you feel like you actually got a lot out of that?
No.
Okay, great.
Not at all. I think most of, if not all of the education I've had in theater happened after I graduated.
Heard.
Our class at Pace was a real guinea pig situation, because when I came to that program, it was only 6 years old. So there was a lot that they were figuring out. And like, it was very clear with the classes above us, they were like, this isn't working. Let's try something new with the class of 2011, which was my class. And they got a lot wrong, which is like okay. And like, if you're looking at like the macro like timeline of Pace, like these are the formative years. So that's great. But for the students who were actually there at that time, there was a lot that was in flux. There was a lot of changeover of curriculum and of teachers. So there was like very little stability. And like also some of the teachers that they brought in were just like crackpots, just like had no business teaching at all. And then you're left sitting there being like, I'm paying so much money for what? Like with my education, the way that it was, if someone's like, do you think you need to go to college for theater? I don't know that I can sit here and say with what I got that I would say yes.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't think so.
Totally.
I think there are ways to like take the money that you would have for college and like move to the city, get yourself set up in an apartment, find classes with people that you like, and build your community that way. Because like what I actually learned at Pace was very minimal. That being said, the program now is insane.
Gotcha.
Like I don't think I would get in there if I applied now.
Heard.
Like it's just they're really, and my friend Amanda is like the head of the program now, and she's amazing, and she's also really working to rebuild the relationships with a lot of the students, myself included, who were like really done dirty by some of the faculty.
Okay.
And just like I think any college program for theater had like a lot of bullshit going on that like now I think people are a lot less tolerant of and are going to call out.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there was some shit that happened at Pace that was not good. And she is working really hard to let alumni know that like this is a place where you can come back to. Like we want you to come back. We want to foster like healing conversations, which I applaud because it's not an easy task to take on that emotional burden.
Totally. Was there any like emphasis on the business of it all? Like were they teaching? Heard. Great.
I just laugh because it's such like whenever I talk with my friends about our time at Pace, this always comes up. We had a business of acting class taught by this guy who his course book was a binder, which would have been fine, but it was like $280 to buy this binder. It was a 3-ring binder. It was a lot.
That's insane.
Yeah.
The fuck?
But like you want to talk about old guard teaching. And he was a younger guy. He was maybe like in his 30s or 40s when he was teaching this. So I'm like, why?
Also, why are we paying for books that you write?
Correct.
Like that, especially like in theater of all places, you are making us buy your book.
It was nuts.
You have a PDF.
It wasn't even, well, I don't know that PDFs were really a thing.
They have something.
They had we could have downloaded. We could have like
yeah.
And then he was like, I don't want to see anyone photocopying this. We're like, okay, and like four of us went in on one and like we photocopied it because of course it was just stupid. But the type of shit that he was teaching us as the quote unquote business of acting was so off the mark. It was like we had to come up with an artist statement that like encapsulated us by like, I'm the this of the this of the that.
Okay.
Like you had to like build your thing to like sell yourself. And I was like, but what if, I mean, like I graduated when I was 21. I didn't fucking know who I was. Like I didn't have any idea how to market myself. And also like, because of the program, I underwent a really big physical change. Like I started that program probably at around 300 pounds and I left that program at 190 because I didn't get the gastric bypass, but that teacher taught me other ways to lose the weight, which, you know, I'm still struggling with and working on today. Yeah. So like I had gone through this big physical change and like my book that I had been working on, like my rep book for the last 4 years, like suddenly didn't make any sense anymore because I was like really building a thing for this like character, funny, fat girl thing. And now suddenly I was like skinny, like, and like, what do? Like, I don't know who I am. And you want me to make an artist statement. And I will never forget this. He brought in 2 samples of the same resume. And he was like, this girl is going in for Glinda. Which one of these do you think she should be bringing in? And one just looked like a normal resume, like normal font. And then this one, her name was in like pink. And do you know the font Curls MZ? Like everything was like curly cued.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
do you remember?
Yeah.
That was like what her name was written in. And like all of the dividers for like the different sections were like a different color and they were like flowers. And I was like, well, this one, because this one looks like a professional. And he goes, no, this one, the Curls MZ, this one shows personality. This one, and I was like, what? You want what?
That's insane.
What? Like we were paying for that. And in my mind, I'm like, teach me how to balance a checkbook.
Yeah.
Teach me how to file my taxes or like what to look for in like a contract. Like teach me how to read a contract. That to me is the business of acting.
Totally.
And you're sitting here talking to me about curly fonts. Like that was such a joke to me.
Yeah.
Such a joke.
Truly. That's insane. That is genuinely like a level of delusion that I
and then
unfortunately believe.
The funny thing is that later that week, we had another teacher who's a casting director out in the world who I still see all the time and love very much. He brought in a resume that had like crazy fonts and colors on it. And he was like, if I ever bring any of you in and I see this shit, we are going to have serious words. And I was like, are you fucking with us right now? And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, literally on Tuesday, we had a class where our business of acting teacher told us to do this. And I was like, I don't think any of us are going to.
Yeah.
But there are people out there who like, if somebody is telling you, you want to book Wicked, do this. Yeah. Like there are people who will do that, you know?
100%.
We just want to work. We want to do the quote unquote right thing.
Yeah.
And like our teacher, who's the casting director, he was so flabbergasted. He was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, are you sure you're not working together? Is this like a weird thing that you're doing?
That's really wild.
Because it was the same week. It wasn't that girl, but like it was the same similar vibe. And I was like, I bet she probably took, because he also taught seminars like outside. I would bet you dollars to boots that she took one of his seminars.
Totally. Via one of my other part-time survival jobs, I am seeing a lot of resumes these days. And it is wild.
Yeah.
It is truly crazy the lengths that some people are going through because it is just, you can't read it. You can't even read it.
No. And I think the unfortunate thing is that, because what that tells me is that there are people out there who are selling that information. That like, this is what you need to do. And I have a very dear friend who's a casting director. I have a lot of friends who are casting directors. I should be working more, I think.
Hell yeah.
But like, they're constantly getting tagged in people's posts on Instagram. Like, just like they'll put up like a reel of something and they're being tagged. But it's not just them. It's like them and like 10 other casting directors. And it's like happening all the time. So somebody is telling these people to do that. And like, it's not.
I hate that actually.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very strange. And it's like, I don't think it's I don't know. Who can say what's right or wrong? But like, it seems like the casting directors who are being tagged are like, who is telling you to do this? Yes. Like they just want to find the source and then be like, this is actually not serving.
It feels like
people.
You're being tricked into watching someone perform.
It's weird. It's weird. And like, this has always been my thing with this industry, because like, I remember too, right when I graduated, everyone was like, you have to send thank you cards to every room that you go into, or like you have to send a postcard that says like, thank you for seeing me.
That's crazy.
And I was like, why? Why am I doing that? Why? And they're like, well, so that they remember you. And I was like, okay, I would hope that my time in the room was memorable enough. And if it wasn't, I do not want them to then be like, why is she sending me? Mm-hmm. They're either going to be like, oh yeah, that was a mediocre thing, or like, oh, I didn't like her. Like,
also, these postcards are probably going to some secretary somewhere.
You know what I mean?
Gonna look
like,
and
it was just, and like, I had a friend who had like a whole system. Like, she had like, whatever room she went into, she would like write everything down. And then like, as she was getting ready to leave, she would like write it and then put the stamp on it so she could mail it on the way home. Like, and I was like, this just seems, it's not, like, for me, it's not that deep.
It's a very strange dichotomy of, it is very hard to get seen these days.
Correct.
Especially as
and
a non-union actor.
I take nothing away from that.
Totally. But it's just like, it feels like a level of, I'm going to use the word psycho in a loving way, you know? Because obviously it has connotations, but it feels like a level of that where it's like, this ain't doing you any good. There's a level of social tact here that is missing.
I wish, instead of like telling people all of these ways in which they could be doing more, mm-hmm. instead we were just telling people ways in which they are enough.
Yeah.
Like, you walking into a room and doing what you do is such a gift.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, then you are the only person who can do that.
That's exactly right.
Like, why we are not championing that mm-hmm. and trying to stoke that flame is so beyond me. But I think it goes back to what we were talking about 8 hours ago with this idea of like keeping people scared and mm-hmm. hungry and intimidated and like worried.
That's exactly
because if we start telling people, hey, you don't need to send a postcard. What mm-hmm. you did in that room is gorgeous and beautiful. Then it's like, you stop, you take away the power of all of these other people and teachers mm-hmm. who are trying to get something from you. But like, it only comes from you.
Yeah.
It should only come from you. And like, listen, you're catching me on a good day where like I'm feeling good about myself. And like tomorrow, who knows? I might be like, I'm worthless. I'm nothing. But like, I think the more that we practice that self-talk of like, I am the only me.
Mm-hmm.
I am the only one who can do this and deliver on this.
Yes.
I am so special because I am the only me.
That is exactly right.
Like, that is it.
Mm-hmm.
That is it. And anybody else who is trying to sell you something else or trying to trick you into doing something else, they are selling you something.
Yeah.
They're selling you something.
Totally.
I don't want you to buy it.
No.
I don't want you to buy it.
Don't buy those postcards.
Don't buy the
postcards.
I had so many postcards for that class, to graduate that class or get the pass, fail, whatever. You had to like print out postcards. And like reproductions was a thing. She no longer exists, but like she did postcards for a little while. And I had like a stack of like 250 because that was the lowest amount that I could get. And for years, I just had this stack of postcards.
That's
and I was like,
crazy.
With my face on it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Just so stupid.
Yeah.
I think I threw them out. Either that or they're in a box somewhere. And like when I move one day, I will discover them.
That's going in the Museum of Broadway.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. The Bonino stack of postcards. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants it.
That's honestly hysterical.
Yeah. We had to print out a bunch of stuff. We had to print out postcards. Mm-hmm. We had to print out customized resumes. And I was like, this is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, this is fine. There was like a workbook that we had to do. It was so, the fact that they got away with teaching that
mm-hmm.
class. And I think there were two teachers. There was a man and a woman, and our class just got randomly split. We got the guy.
Okay.
And the people who got the woman like really dug her. So I was like,
no.
I was like, oh man, I would have loved to have like sat in on that class. Because like, I don't know if she was teaching different stuff. I can't see how she would have, because it was the same binder.
Okay.
Very expensive binder. But like, people in that class really liked her.
Interesting.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah, I wish him well.
And I'm sure he's out there doing so good right now.
I have not thought about this man in a decade, if not longer. I'm so going to do a deep dive when I get home.
Don't you love that? Don't you love when someone pops up and you're like, wow, I forgot all about you.
Oh, God, but he made our lives hell when we were in that class.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. Y'all, be normal.
Just be normal. Just be yourself.
Be yourself.
And be okay with being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
That is your key. That is what is going to get you the farthest. People want to know you. bring the vibes,
And I think
have
people
a good time.
they're gonna respond to it better
Yeah.
behind the table. Like, that's the other thing too, is like I don't think anybody behind the table wants you to be bad. They are so
just
rooting for you in whatever way
Yeah.
that comes across, but like they want you to be good. They want you to be
Mhm.
the person that like solves the problem of like, how do we
Totally.
cast this, you know?
And then, like, it is literally their job to judge acting, and they can sniff you out a mile away for being. I mean, we all see it anytime we're sitting in a holding room when someone walks up to the monitor and there's a code switch on the way.
Yep.
There's a code switch on the way, and then it's, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't mean to be annoying, but like, what number on the list are we at?
God.
You're doing so good. I just want you to know you're great. Thank you so much for organizing all of this and like dealing with the chaos.
It's too much. It's too much. It's too
Like,
much. Just be a human.
Yeah.
Just be a human.
Just be a
Just
human.
be yourself.
Mhm.
Just be yourself.
That is it.
Oof.
That is it. I feel like this has been great. This
Yeah.
has been awesome.
You know, just be yourself.
You're a hoot and a half, and I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you as well.
Thank
and you know
you.
who else appreciates us? Milwaukee.
So true. Milwaukee, if you're listening to this.
Which we know
Yeah.
is in Wisconsin.
Absolutely. Our DMs are open. We are happy to collab. You know, if you want some ad space, I'll give it to you for free.
Yep.
Like, whatever. Like, let us know. We're here for you.
We're here for you, Milwaukee.
Do you have any other words of wisdom you want to share to the people? Anything for the young alleys out there?
Man. Oh, for the young alleys. Okay. For my baby sequoias out there, for my baby big humans out there, you do not need to lose a single pound.
Mhm.
You do not need to change or alter your body for any project, and any project that tells you to, you know what? They are not the project for you, because you are perfect in the body that you're in.
Mhm.
If you want to lose weight or whatever, do it for you, do it for the right reasons, do it for your health if you need to. But like, again, it just goes back to you are the only you. Embrace that, love that, and do not let anybody try to whittle you down into something else.
Exactly. There you go. Folks, go out there, take on the world, change the world.
Change it.
Yeah, change it for us so we don't have to. God.
But when you do change it, know that we will be behind you.
100%. We
We
are
will
behind
be.
you. We are your biggest supporters. And you can be our biggest supporters by finding us on Patreon.
That's right.
Folks. That is right. That is patreon.com/beatoBroadway. Just your normal disclaimer. We are not gatekeeping any vital information on there. That is just for the silly, random bonus content that me and all the lovely fools that I bring on this show provide for just a little extra perk. So go check us out over there. As always, you can find us on most social media platforms at BA2Broadway. Allie, where can folks find you if you want to be found?
You can find me on Instagram at Allybo, ALLYBO123. And I deactivated my TikTok.
I'm proud
last
of you.
night, so I don't have TikTok. I never really understood it
Gotcha.
to begin with. It always scared me.
Understood.
And yesterday was the final straw, and I said goodbye. So I'm just on Instagram.
Amazing. I really admire that
Thanks.
of you. I don't know if
Thank
I have
you
that
so
strength
much.
yet. I would like to get there someday,
You
maybe.
know?
Yeah. Stay
Hey.
tuned. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
This has
having
been
me.
absolutely lovely.
Treat.
You're welcome back anytime.
I'll take you
My-
up on it
my
because this
platform is your
apartment is
platform.
cute and I
Thank
want to
you.
spend time in it.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. I guess we could just hang out.
I guess we could
know.
just be friends.
Whatever. We'll see. And until next time, folks, bye.
Bye.
From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and cover art by Jordan Vongsithi.